Tameana!
Hi.
So, hi, welcome to Antahkarana, Chakra Scrub, The Heart, Plane 4,
Pour moi.
number 2, part 2. So, Derek over here, Cosmic Messenger, Hilary Raven Porter here from Sacred Starseed Healing. And yeah, so you can check out part 1. It was my receiving end, and Derek was offering the session, and so we talked a little bit about what that experience was like. And I will say, as a quick update, the pain that I had from yesterday is exponentially less.
Wow.
Like 50%, right? Like 50% less from the session and the Reiki and the whole.
Oh, that's
the whole
awesome.
schmozzle.
Wow.
Schmozzle, because that's totally a word that I say often.
Yeah.
So, Derek, tell us what your week was last week for the Komotaia, the solar plexus.
For my week?
I'm like interviewing you.
Oh, I see. You're holding the mic.
So Derek.
Well, we touched a little bit about it on the last video there, so check that out too if you need some more information. But the whole week was really about how things are starting to overlay. That's what I can describe for this whole week. So the whole systems are overlaying the full spectrum healing. And then this is also being intermixed because I do a lot of modalities, but I've just started Aurasoma's bottle 33. So that's been mixing in. That's the dolphin bottle, and it's all about the throat chakra. So that's been overlaying with what's happening with the Tameana. To be honest, there's a lot going on right now on planet Earth, and I feel very crisp and aligned to be able to show up as my best self for whatever is happening in front of me, right? And I do feel that in the times where you think that there's the least amount of multitasking that needs to be done is where the acceleration is happening.
Mm-hmm.
And with that acceleration, instead of like breakdowns, exploding, distorted patterns coming out, it's like a little bit of showing itself, and then we transmute. And I'm really appreciating that the chakra scrub has given me the opportunity to refine those moments, right? So this is all about fine tuning at this point.
Exactly, the polishing.
Polishing, chakra scrubs, getting in there, and cleaning each one up.
I know. I always picture like the toothbrush when you're like going at the grout in the shower, and you're just like, argh. That's what I always think of when I think of the chakra scrub for some reason.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I definitely visualize the same thing, kind of. It has to do with a toothbrush of sorts.
Yeah. So today,
so it's been that too, and I just want to say that like I've been sleeping really good, and it just, my overall being feels like content in all of its systems. The endocrine and lymphatic are really working optimally, let's say. The downloads are coming in lots, and I've just been feeling really robust and vibrant.
It's great.
Healthy and amazing.
Right?
Yeah, I'm super grateful.
Yeah. So today you got to receive.
I did.
For Soma de Dase, which is the heart plane of existence.
Mm-hmm.
As the offerer, giver, gifter.
Receiver?
No.
Oh, you. Yeah.
Anything. I found, so it's not always a lot of light language. Sometimes there's less, but then the codes come out in other ways. And so today it was more of it was less of me being the current and being the channel versus me activating and then stepping back and really letting the guides, they're like, no, we've got this one, like 100%. Usually as the giver or as the person doing the offering, there's a lot of interaction, and it's reminding ourselves that they're doing the work, and sometimes it's okay that we're not like super ultra, it makes me think of a kid being like, Mama, can I help now? What about now? What about now? What about now? And we have to remember that like sometimes Mama's like, I got this. Right? And so the sisters today were like, no, I got this. And so words came through, and there was some downloads with some stuff. But there was less of me doing other things, which is interesting because it's always then my brain goes, but I'm not doing enough.
Totally.
Right? And then it comes to the end, and the person's like, oh my goodness, I felt so much. And you're like, perfect. You're like, I totally meant to do that.
The human, practitioner being Tameana worker in all of these modalities where we use grid work, but Tameana specifically, they're the activators to then hold the space for the catalyst to happen. And that's what's really interesting about it. So like just by setting up the grid, that is the foundation right there.
Well,
and then stuff starts to happen after that point. And there's always more than you can like know on the physical plane. It's a lot of it's ethereal, etheric, astral plane stuff.
And I find that stuff too, like there'll be the person that comes in for a session and they'll leave and you're like, oh, did they even really, like, did they experience much? Because they'll be quite like inward and you'll be like, oh, I hope they, like, hope everything went okay. And then all of a sudden a week later, you'll get a message being like, that was so profound and I had the biggest shifts, but they were processing so much, right? And when I was first taught Tameana, when I was first introduced to it, I was literally taught you activate the crystals and then you can leave the room for 5 minutes and then come back and move the crystals and then you activate them. Tameana had another idea for me and was like, no, you do that, but then guess what? We're going to do all these other things with you and through you, and how it's been integrated with the other modalities that we practice. But then these moments are the reminder of like going back to like the very pure essence of Tameana. And that's like, even if a Chikotaya, your practitioner, even if you get trained in Tameana, Asitushakaya Dumaya, and you end up doing distance sessions, but like you can't move. And this is what's so lovely about the modality. Literally, when I do distance sessions, it's like setting up a mini grid of the person, a Chikotakai. But if you were like incapacitated, you couldn't move very much, you were stuck in bed, you could still do sessions because literally you activate the crystals with the symbols and the person receives that. You could sit in the room with them and have the crystals activated from a distance. You can activate them, right? And then that it's still happening. And we have to remember that, right? Just because we can't see it.
Exactly.
But yeah, how was your experience today?
My experience was lovely. We went through numerous things.
See, look, do these eyes look familiar? I think these look like my eyes yesterday.
Feels like a time warp of last night. Basically went through the layers of conditioning, the conditioning that the human has been through. All planes of existence, mental, emotional, physical, ethereal, the whole bit. And it went through like that conditioning of the forced reality upon us. And that was really interesting. And then I had a whole series, and I kind of went out during this period, but there was like, here's all the incarnational fathers you've ever had, mothers. It didn't matter what planet they were on, they were just all lined up. Didn't matter what time and space or dimension they were, or if they were continuous in a bloodline. Here's all the brothers. And then I went out, and they were going through the whole list. So that was interesting. And then the Tameana symbols were flying all over the room, making geometrical shapes, doing things around the table. So table's out, they're going like this around. Other ones are coming out and laying down here. And they're like, well, if you put this there, it was like the wall of Egypt with all of its hieroglyphs. If you took them out and then like the guides are repurposing them and being like, well, you can use them in this sequence, in this sentence, in this order. Thinking them as phrases of pictographs with codes. So that was pretty cool too as well. And then I was getting information about how off-planet activity, so for us, it seems like off-planet, but really I'm just saying outside of Earth. Because when you live outside of Earth, it's the same perspective to them. We are the extraterrestrials. But out there in space world, beyond planet Earth, DNA is a commodity.
So is it like Bitcoin?
Yeah.
It's like Bitcoin of the galaxy.
Exactly. Some might view it as the Bitcoin like, and others may view it as a beautiful thing. Lots of them don't even get involved in that process. It's just nature's beautiful gift, and we create and we work with it. But others are using it to do trades and different things. Some are using it to help their species because of the mess they made when being so advanced. Because just because you get super advanced and you start messing with some stuff, and you can kind of throw time matrices off. So that's an interesting play of events as well too. So that was kind of a few things that I went through, and then a portion of it I was out, and I was saying to you, I was like really just in touch with my soul, my being. I like to call it the 0 point field. Just perfectly aligned, and I feel like, I love this. I use this to describe things a lot, but like a fresh chunk of clay. That just has a little bit of water on the outside, and it's just nicely molded to my body, and I feel like robust but limber, content and whole. Wow.
It's the off state.
Right, exactly where you want to be. So
Yeah.
I highly recommend Tameana for some health and wellness.
Well, that was what was lovely too. Is I love so at the end of each session, we go through what the downloads were, and we talk about whoever's receiving talks about what their experience was. So there's a decoding period at the end of each session, and then the person who's offering talks about what. So like I told Derek, like these are the things that came through, and what I love is inevitably every single time there's either an aha moment from the receiver being like, oh, that's totally it. Like it's pinpointed something in their world that's like, yeah, that is what I need to work on, or yes. And then that stuff, as it comes out, if it's like, this is the pattern, what's lovely is that pattern's been brought up, and then the guides have also worked on it. They've gone in and done psychic surgery and are going to continue work on it on that cellular energy level. So one, there's those haha moments, and then two, the other one is the parallels where it'll be like, oh my goodness. So like in a lot of the writing, it was about awe state. It was about like being. It was a lot about using your pure words to actually change the reality. And when you're in that state of authenticity, when you're using your words, your being, your practices, the way you live in an authentic way and in an aligned way, you're naturally in that awe state.
Which goes with my bottle 33 from the Orasoma, because that's
Yeah.
all about word choices, communication, throat, vibration, creativity, which is interesting. And also with the guides working with you. So throughout the week, there would be many occasions where we think we have to be on the treatment table or in a meditative state or yin laying on the floor in order for a dream state to be worked on. Well, the guides, they have no bounds to space and time as
No.
when you're not in incarnational form like we are. And that enabled, and even when you do have an incarnational form, you can start to, if you get to, to the fourth density and work your way up, you can start to do some pretty supernatural stuff, which is amazing. And I would be walking down the street and boom, something would sweep in and happen.
Yep.
Oh yeah, we're working on you now, or here we're right beside you, we're putting our hands on your shoulder and you feel like a wave of energy.
Yeah.
Or a pattern can pop up right in the moment. It's amazing what can go down. Or suddenly you just kind of get like a lot for myself, I get body signals quite often. So I'll get like a huge, like, the jolt twitch with my body, or like some sort of energy field will come in. And two things particularly happened this week was that the prana centers feel instantly more open and smooth. And then another one was, and so I'm making a chunk about this big, but when you look up into the sky, that chunk can be humongous, right? Put your hand up, you see the size it makes. Well, that's a big chunk of sky. It could be miles long. A huge chunk of it just went flip, boom,
Yeah.
and then I could kind of see through it, and then it went back and put itself into place. That's part of seeing the other side of the veil, right?
Yeah. And through it makes me think of the difference between integrating as you're going versus I want to be awake now. Because when you do that, it's too much for your brain and for your cells and for your being to comprehend that this can actually happen. I mean, I'm prime example, sort of. I mean, I already knew this stuff could happen. I just hadn't been as exposed to it. But after the car accident, and I was having all those seizures. So literally, I would be like walking home, and all of a sudden, I'd have to find a place to like go down, and I'd be in like full Kundalini in the middle of like work, in the middle of walking home, and all of that. And so whenever people are like, I want it now, and I just want to like force it open and like blast off, and it's like, no. We work to help people integrate so that as these experiences happen, you're like, oh, and you're able to process them and you're able to live within them and alongside them, as opposed to it literally snapping your brain.
Exactly.
Right. And so it's the working, it's like it's like working out. You're not going to go, I have never worked out. I'm going to lift 150-pound weights on both ends of this, whatever that bar is called. Chin-up bar, not chin-up bar. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, you break bones, you snap tendons and all that other stuff versus like, I've never done this before. I'm going to do 5-pound weights on either side. And you start small until you build up to that. It's the same.
The chakra scrub, Tameana knows what density you're at. There's 5 that we're primarily working with. And those are the ones where it'll insert you into where you are. It knows more than your monkey mind knows where you're going to start. So if you just enter at 2 and then it eases you in slowly to
It's
3.
not going to take you where you're... It's not going to start you or take you where you aren't able to go or ready to go. And it's integratable. And that's what I love about it.
Generally, you go up, starting from the bottom, However, some beings come in and they might have like 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1 all activated, but there is this giant skip step on the first plane.
Yeah.
You're going to go back and finish it.
Yeah. It's
Might
going
be
to
a
clear
little
that
easier
pattern.
for them to integrate it, but
Yeah.
it's going to go there. So
Yeah.
Tameana knows.
Tameana knows. Okay, awesome. So yeah, I hope you're enjoying the snow wherever you are. I was super happy to see it today because it's so pretty and we didn't have to leave our cocoon space, so it was lovely. Yeah, so thanks for visiting us with us. Oh my goodness, you should have heard some of the words that were coming out of my mouth during downloads. I had to like read them multiple times, being like, "What
It
is
was
this?"
golden.
It was awesome. We have fun with words in this house. But thank you for joining us for our late night thoughts, because I realized we tend to do these at like 9 p.m. or later every single time. So late night thoughts with Hillary and Dare. Yeah, okay. Well, check out our other videos. And if you like what you see, follow us. Because, there'll be more.
Oh, for sure. And we'll be back with more action next week.
Yeah, we got we got 3 more planes of existence.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Have a beautiful night.